This is Allianthus altissima, also known as Tree of Heaven, or the name I feel more fitting, Tree of Hell. It has this smooth gray bark, and it has these compound leaves that are just coming in now, but when they're mature, they could become north of 2 feet long. These are an invasive species from China. They were introduced to the US as a city sidewalk tree because they're incredibly pollution resistant. They are also incredibly good at reproducing. They make these samaras in large clusters that rain down in the summer, and they are pretty good at germinating, which means that these will have lots of little volunteer trees at the bottom. Now, another challenge is they also really are good at coming back up from the root. Either spreading underground to create more trees and popping back up where you've cut them down. Here you can see one that I have cut down a number of times. And I have tried hacking at this thing and pouring vinegar on it to try and just really take the life out of it. And yet it still comes back. And so controlling these is very difficult. They also create an odor similar to a skunk and a Bradford pear tree combined. So they are not the most pleasant thing to be around. They also have incredibly brittle, pithy wood, causing lots of branches to fall, which can create quite the hazard for buildings and people. This is Ulmus pumila, Siberian elm. These are another invasive species that are incredibly widespread. They have this very rough gray bark and are prone to bacterial infections. They have these leaves that have serrated edges and this oval almond shape. They have very regularly spaced alternating branches. These trees also produce a samara with a fairly high germination rate and a high seed drop rate. Siberian elms also have very brittle wood that is prone to breaking and dropping. They grow quickly and drop large branches These are just some of the volunteer Siberian elms I've cut down in the last week or so. And here are some more. Here we have Prunus virginiana, chokecherry. It is currently in bloom. And here you can see these flowers have 5 petals and a sort of cup in the center. They're white, they smell nice. The leaves are alternating with these nice big round leaves and tiny serrations. The bark is this reddish brown with these lenticels. And at the bases of the leaves, you'll see these two glands on the petiole. Here we have Cercocarpus ledifolia, curl leaf mountain mahogany. They have these thick leaves that are curled under at the edges and often curled up as they mature. The leaves and branches are alternately arranged, and it has this gray bark and shrubby appearance. This is a Utah native, and as you can see here, the deer find it very tasty. Here we have Sambucus glauca, also known as elderberry or blue elderberry. This is another Utah native with this pinkish reddish bark and these compound leaves. This particular plant is an heirloom plant in that it is literally a family heirloom that has been propagated off of since my in-laws' grandparents. They create these panicles of flowers and then berries, very small ones, very, very small, that are dark in color. There is also a red variety that is also a native to Utah. However, this is the blue variety. Here we have Parathonetius quinquefolia, Virginia creeper. They have these compound 5-leafleted star-shaped leaves with serrated edges. The serrations are primarily towards the ends. This plant produces clusters of dark berries that are a favorite for birds, which means they also spread quite far. They also like to sprawl and climb. They have tendrils. They put out roots all along themselves. Ooh, a snake. Hello, snake. And so they can be incredibly aggressive, as you see them consuming my house right now. This is spring, and summer is something else. Here we have Celtis reticulata, netleaf hackberry. These are another Utah native with a dark brownish gray sort of bark that is fairly smooth, but when the leaves come in and mature, they are covered in trichomes, which make them very rough. These are also very popular with insect associations, and so they commonly produce galls, so they're on the leaves. So their leaves will have these bumps and lumps and tumors all over them. They produce a dark brown berry, which will probably make you hack if you eat it. They have alternately arranged leaves. And I've probably done a kind of crap job at pruning this one, but oh well. This is the mulch I use on my property, and this is an example of the fungal activity that occurs in this mulch. These are the fruiting bodies of the fungus that lives all throughout this pile, and honestly, all throughout everywhere I have spread mulch. So this is the fruiting body of the fungus, and that fungus has a mycorrhizal connection with the plants. You'll see the mycorrhizal connection if I pull up some roots. Okay. You see all that white? That rotted wood that is incorporated into the roots? That extra fuzz on the roots? That is the mycorrhizal association. Here's some Bromus tectorum with these drooping awns that are very sharp. They have these sort of reddish purplish tinges to the base and tip, and very soon they will dry out and be sharp and nasty and a fire hazard. Once upon a time, this gravel is all there was here. That and dead, baked dust with no organic matter. I took mulch like that and spread it everywhere. Branches that are small enough, I've let break down, or I've chipped to help them break down easier. The rest I burn. And I have stopped using any sort of pesticides. Nothing really grew here before. Out here was a wood lot, and only bullheads were really growing. I've got grass. Not all of it is good grass. We have a significant portion of cheatgrass. But I've got trees out here now. And I've got shrubs out here. And the ground is something you can dig into. My theory is bad plants like bad soil. And if you improve the soil, you reduce the bad plants and replace them with good plants. Now, that doesn't mean just any plants will do, of course. I have all of these invasives that I'm working with. I don't want them there. But you can't beat that shade. So I can't just take them all out at once. I have to create a succession plan, and that is what I'm doing with those natives. These plants, like chokecherry and elderberry and mahogany and so many more I intend to put in. These will help me create a succession plan to phase out the trees and plants that are no good and do me no good, and create a more natural habitat. I can't take out all the trees because there's birds and squirrels and things that call them home, but they have a lot of downfalls. And so the best thing to do will be to find some larger canopy trees and start them. And once they get big enough to provide some sort of shade and habitat, then one by one we phase out the large trees.